Hi guys, this is Andrew with rockclass101.com, and in this week's ukulele lesson, we're going to be learning Stop This Train by John Mayer. So this is one of my favorite tunes ever since I heard it back in 2006 when I first listened to Continuum, for a couple reasons. First, for what the song is about, it really hits home with me. But second, for the guitar part, which is just an amazing acoustic rhythmic guitar. And I tried the best that I could to put what he does on the acoustic guitar into this arrangement. So it's a lot of fun to play, and it's got a lot of the same movements and a lot of the same chord fingerings and voicings that he uses. So I think you guys are going to really dig it. I tried as much to be as authentic to the part that he played. So before we jump into this lesson, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the lesson. So this is going to be our part 1 lesson, and we're going to learn the first half of the tune. If you guys want to learn the second half, we're going to be covering that in the part 2 lesson at this link right here, or you can go to the site rockclass101.com and do a search for Stop This Train. Now on that page, you'll also be able to find the complete tabs that you can print off and follow along with as a PDF format, as well as access the on-screen tab viewer. Now this is a really cool feature where you can hit play, watch the tabs scroll across in real time. You can highlight bars to loop sections, slow it down to any speed you wish. Just a really great asset for learning this song that much easier. Alright, so before we jump into learning it, there's a couple things that we need to talk about. First off, we're going to be counting out the rhythm as we go throughout this whole lesson, so it's really important that you understand rhythmic notation. So if you need to brush up on anything, check out this lesson. Secondly, this song has a backbeat on beats 2 and 4 throughout it. So if you listen to the original, and you can go on YouTube and do a search for John Mayer acoustic Stop This Train, where it's just him and the guitar, you're going to hear him doing a backbeat on the acoustic guitar on 2 and 4. We're going to be doing the same thing, but we're going to be doing it with a tapped backbeat. So that means using this part of our thumb, the hard part of the thumb, tapping right above the sound hole. Now the thing about this is that we're going to be playing a melody note at the same time as the tap. So if you're new to this technique, then you want to check out this lesson, which is going to teach the mechanics behind it. But as we move throughout this lesson for Stop This Train, I'm going to assume that you know how to do it. And this is a technique that if you want to make the song easier, you can leave it out, but I wouldn't recommend that because it's such a vital part to the acoustic guitar part that it's kind of, if you leave it out, it's kind of like ordering a pizza without cheese. You know, you're missing one of the main ingredients. So it's something that really, really needs to be in the arrangement. Now, as far as our right hand, we're going to be bouncing between a 3 and a 4 finger picking approach. If it's 4 fingers, each finger gets its own string. If it's 3 fingers, then thumb would get 2 strings. Index would get the second string, middle would get the first. So if you're new to 3 and 4 finger picking approach, I'm going to go ahead and put a link to a complete course that we have called Finger Picking Concepts, which covers 4, 3 finger, and thumb approach, so you can dive more into finger picking approaches. Alright, so let's go ahead and jump into it now. So we're going to kick off with the intro, which is our riff. It's the repetitive riff that's heard throughout this entire tune. So it pops up left and right throughout it. So once you learn it once, you've got it down for each time it comes back, and it's 4 bars in length, so it's not super duper hard. Now it has a repetitive rhythmic theme, which is going to be 1, 2, and 4. So you can see, I'll put the rhythm right there. So you're going to see that the end of 2 is tied into beat 3. So it's 1, 2, and 4. So if I do a short little 3, we're not hitting on 3, it's 1, 2, and 4. Okay? So let's take a listen to what it sounds like. That rhythm is in bars 2, 3, and 4. The first bar has an 8th note in the beginning, so a little different. Alright, so that's what the intro riff sounds like, and it's going to get played 2 times, so I played 8 bars in a row. But let's just break down the first bar and take a look at what's going on. So it's going to be out of a G sus2 chord. So let's break down this chord real quick. So think of your basic G. The only thing that you want to do different is lift the middle finger up, which introduces the open A string. Okay? So this is the chord that we're going to be playing out of. Now the first hit is actually going to be a hammer-on of the open second string to the 3rd fret. Okay, so what I want you to do is actually start with just the index finger down. So you're going to strum 4 to 2, and then hammer on with that ring finger to that 3rd fret of string 2. And here's that rhythm that I said it was different. We're going to do one end instead of a quarter note for the first hit. So this is the only bar that is different. Okay? After that, we're going to be tapping plus playing the 3rd string. And remember, the 3rd string is that fretted note, that 2nd fret. Okay? So when I tap, I'm going to use the index finger to play the 3rd string. Remember, it's got to be simultaneous though, so you're doing both together. So you have hammer, tap, and pluck. After that, you're going to play the open A, and that's on the end of 2, and that's what gets tied into beat 3. So if we break down what we have 1 and 2 and 3. Okay? On the end of 3, you're going to play the 2nd string, which is the 3rd fret, and then you're going to finish it up with tapping plus playing the 2nd fret of string 3 again. So that's going to be a quarter to finish it up. So together you have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay? And the finger picking approach I'm using is I have these 3 fingers. So 3rd finger gets in the 1st string, 2nd finger gets the 2nd string, index gets the 3rd string. Okay? And we're not playing anything on string 4 for this intro. So again, we have hammer, tap, O, 2, tap. Okay, so hammer, tap, O, 2nd, 3rd string. All right, and if I call out the rhythm, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So let's give that one a shot together. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Nice. And if I'm going any bit too fast, you can use these directions to slow down the YouTube player, but the on-screen tab viewer for premium members is going to be the best way to tackle this because you can highlight and loop sections and slow it down incrementally to any speed you wish. All right, let's take a look at the next bar. And actually, let's take a look at the next 2 bars. I want to highlight the chord movement that's happening. So far we've learned the G sus2, but we're going to go up the neck to a G6, and then to a G major 7. Okay, so let's learn these chord shapes real quick, because it's going to be better if we have them down. It's going to make the transitions a lot easier. So the next chord is going to be G6, so use the middle finger for 7th fret of string 3, ring for 7 on string 1. You have open strings for the other 4 and 2nd. Now from here, all you're going to do is lift the ring up, move the middle finger down a half step so it's on 6, and then use the index finger for 5 on string 1. Okay? So practice that transition. So double 7 to 6, 5. Okay? So once you get that down, let's take a look at bar 2, which sounds like this. So here's that repetitive rhythm that's for bar 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, and 4. Okay? So for this one, we're going to strum the G6, then we're going to tap plus play the 3rd string. Remember, that's fretted with the 7. After that, you're playing string 1, then string 2, and then tap plus 7 again. So don't forget the end of 2 is tied. So you have strum, tap, pluck, O, tap. Right, so it gets tied, gets held longer. Strum, 3, 1, 2, 3. So that's calling out strings. Strum, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and don't forget those taps are on beats 2 and 4. So again, I have strum, 3, 1, 2, 3. So let's give it a shot. 3, 4, strum, tap, 1, 2, tap. Awesome. Now if we backtrack, let's try the first bar into the 2nd. 3, 4, hammer, tap, O, 2, tap, strum, tap, 1, 2, tap. Nice. Now let's look at the 3rd bar. So we're to G major 7, Okay, so don't forget that easy transition going to the G6 to G major 7. So for this one, we have the same rhythm, 1, 2, and 4. So we're going to go strum, 3, 1, 2, tap. So it's the same right hand attack, right? It's exactly identical. So let's see if we can try this one. 3, 4, strum, tap, 1, 2, tap. Nice. And the final chord, super easy. Lift the index, move the middle down to the 2nd fret of string 3. And the other strings are all open. And we have the same right hand. Strum, tap, 1, 2, tap. Okay? So that one's very simple. Let's give that a shot. 3, 4, strum, tap, 1, 2, tap. Okay, and if we backtrack, let's try 3 to 4. So here we go. 3, 4, strum, tap, 1, 2, tap, strum, tap, 1, 2, tap. Nice. And if we try all 4 bars, here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1, 2 and 3 and 4. 1, 2 and 3 and 4. 1, 2 and 3 and 4. Nice. So that intro, or you can think of it as the riff, that's going to go twice. So we just did 4 bars, so you're just going to repeat it, so you have 8 bars for the beginning. And that's going to take you into the verse. So let's go ahead and jump into the verse, and I'm going to play the first couple bars, and then we'll break it down and learn it. The verse is probably one of the hardest parts of this tune. So I just want to throw that out. It's got a little bit of syncopation, and some of the chords are a bit of a stretch for the left hand, but I've got a tip to help you with that. But let me play the first 2. Here we go. Okay, so that's first 2 bars. So we start with a C major 7, not too hard of a chord. So we know the basic C major 7 is just on that 2nd fret of string 1. We're going to add the G note, which is the 3rd fret of string 2. So we're going to play a little bit different variation right here. So we're going to strum that chord, and then we're going to tap just by itself on beat 2. So rhythmically we have 1, 2. So just by itself this time for the tap. From here you're going to move that index finger up to the 7th fret of string 1, and you're going to play that note 3 times, and it's all 8th notes. Okay, so rhythmically we have 1, 2, and 3, and... Now from here, we're going to do a slap, so we're going to do the chucking technique. So you're just going to come down, and then from this point, we're going to pluck the next chord. So actually, the chucking technique I do is a little bit different. Everyone has a unique approach. So if you want to check out the way that I do it, and I'm going to explain it briefly here, but if you want a more detailed lesson, I'll put it in the description box below. But basically when I chuck, I come down in a claw shape. And that leaves each finger, 4 fingers, ready to pluck whatever chord I'm about to make. So I come down with a chuck in a claw shape, and then I come up and I pluck. Okay? But that lesson below will take you slower through that through the mechanics behind the way that I do it. So if you're new to the way that I do it, check out that lesson below. So I'm going to come down with a chuck on beat 4, and then on the end of 4, I'm going to pluck this chord, which is a bit of a stretch. It's a C with a sharp 4. Okay, so your index is going to be on 6 on string 3, pinky's on 10 on string 1. Open 4 and open 2. We have a bit of a stretch right here. So again, I have a lesson that has 3 exercises on how to increase the reach of your left hand. So anytime you're playing stretch chords or stretch phrases or stretch licks, those exercises will help increase your reach. It does take a few months though of working on those exercises to see a noticeable increase. It's kind of like going to the gym. You won't see a result in 2 weeks. It takes a while. So just give you a heads up with that. So let's go ahead and just backtrack for a second now. So we've got the first bar. So we've got strum C major 7, tap, and then we have 3 7s, we have a chuck, and then we have 6 and 10. So 6 with the index, pinky on 10 on the first string. Okay? Rhythmically wise, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. So you're plucking that last chord on the end of 4. Okay? Now that's going to get tied into the first beat of the next bar. But before we get there, let's see if we can try it together. So here we go. 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. Okay? So you're holding this chord into the first beat of the next bar, and our first hit for the next bar is going to fall on the end of 1. So you're going to play the 10th fret of string 1 by itself. You're going to come down again and chuck. That's on beat 2. Then you're going to go to the next chord. And this next chord we've played before, but in the context of where we're at in the song, it gets a different name. So we know this chord previously from the riff as G major 7, but here it gets a fancy title, C add 9 with a sharp 4. But it's the same shape, 6, 5, and the 2 open strings. Okay? So let's just cover from right there. So in the first bar, we had plucking on the end of 4, gets tied into beat 1, then we're hitting 10 on string 1 by itself on the end of 1, coming down with a chuck on beat 2, then plucking 6, 5. Okay? So let's see if we can try that. We're going to count 3 and 4, and we'll start on the end of 4 with the pluck. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and. Okay, so you're going to hold this from the end of 2 into beat 3, and then on the end of 3, you're going to add your pinky to 8 on string 2, so you're going to play that note, and then tap on beat 4 just by itself, and that'll finish up the second bar. Okay, so go ahead and make this chord 6, 5, just add the pinky to 8 on string 2, practice that, and then add a tap after. Alright, so if we start at the same place, the end of 4, and we play all the way through the end of bar 2 for the verse, we have 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, so you may want to backtrack. That one's a bit tricky, but let's see if we can try bars 1 and 2 together. 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Awesome. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the next third and fourth bar for the verse. All right, and here's what it sounds like. So the first thing we notice is that the third bar is identical to the first bar. So we're going to skip over that because it's the same exact hits, and we're going to look at the fourth bar. And the fourth bar, again, the first half of it is pretty much the same. We just have a variation at the end to fit the melody notes that he sings. So let's take a look at our fourth bar. So again, we're hitting on the end of 4 in bar 3. So that was the crazy little 6-10 stretch. So that's going to get tied into beat 1, and then you're going to the 6-5 chord on the end of 1. After that, you tap this time. So you're tapping instead of doing a chuck. Okay? So there's our first difference. So we're tapping on beat 2. Then we're going to add that pinky back to the same spot, which is the 8th fret of string 2. And you're going to pluck that on the end of 2. So if we look at what's happening again, I'm going to start on the end of 4 of bar 3. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and. Okay, if I call it hits, 3 and 4 and 1 and tap string 2. Okay, so tap on beat 2, pluck the 8th fret of string 2 on the end of 2. That's going to get tied into beat 3, and then you're going to hit it again on the end of 3. And then after that, you're going to lift it up, put the ring finger down on 7 on string 2, and you're going to tap plus play that note together. That's going to fall on beat 4 as a quarter note. Okay? So again, starting on the end of 4, we have 3 and 4 and 1 and tap 8, 8, 7. Counting out rhythm, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. And 3 and 4. So a bit tricky too with some of those hits, but let's see if we can try it together, starting on the end of 4. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, now let's see if we can try bar 3 and 4. Remember, 3 is identical to 1. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, if we backtrack, let's try 1 through 4 for the verse. 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So this one is just a really tricky section. It's difficult with the chord movements, but it's also difficult with the rhythm hits, some of them being the syncopated hits, being on the offbeat. So there's definitely one that you want to practice. Now the good news is that after those 4 bars, you go back and you play the same 4 bars as that intro or the riff. We can just call it the riff moving forward. But you're back into those same 4 bars. So all that stuff is identical, and then you're into the second part of the verse. And the second part of the verse has, I think it's only 1 note that's different. So playing through it, we look at the first part. Okay, so a couple things actually, 2 little things. I put a little variation for the first part. Let me point it out right here. So this would be the 9th bar of the verse. So I'm going to go strum, tap, and this time I'm only going to hit 7 twice. So I thought it was a cool little variation. So rhythmically wise, that's 1, 2, 3, end. Start on beat 3, and you're going to play the 7 twice. After that, you slap, and back to 6/10. And then the rest of it is the same. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, end. Okay? So if you want to put that little variation in, you can, or you can hit the 7 3 times. Not a big deal right there. But as it keeps moving forward into bar 10, all that stuff's the same. Bar 11. 11 is the same, but 12 has a different melody note. Okay, same rhythmic hits. So when you get to 6/5 for the last bar, after you play 6/5, you're going to tap, and this time around you're going to play the 5th fret of string 1 on the end of 2 instead of the 8th fret of string 2. So that's the only difference. Then you're going to hold that into beat 3, and then you're going to finish exactly the same way. So it goes 8, 7, so end of 3, then beat 4, tap plus 7. Okay? So there's only 2 little variations. The first time you had simplifying 3 7s into 2, and then we're subbing out 1 note on the last bar. So the first and the 4th bar are the ones that you see the difference. So again, 1, 2, 3, end. So there's the first little variation. Then when you get to the last part, let me play the last 2 bars. So you're just playing on the end of 2, you're playing the 5th fret of string 1. So that's the only thing different. So variations are nice because they just add a little bit of like it makes it slightly a little bit more interesting instead of always playing the same melody for the verse when it comes again, or the same melody for the chorus when it comes again. So it just adds a little spice to it, basically. But after that, you're again into the same riff, which goes 4 times. So that actually completes our verse. So I believe that's 16 bars total. Yep, so that is 16 bars total. So I'm going to go ahead and just play through this verse. I'm not going to count it out, but that'll give you an idea of how it sounds put together, all 16 bars. Sounds a little bit like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. so that's the verse all the way through, 16 bars. Now after that, we're into the pre-chorus, which I think is probably the most fun part to play. I'm just a sucker for chord progressions that have movement that is known as voice leading, where you move one or two notes by a series of half step or whole step, and it creates a really pleasant sound for the ear. So what that means, and we can look at it because it'll make more sense if we see it. So first chord, and then the second chord, you can see it's going to go to a basic G, so it goes down a half step on that third string. And then the third chord is going to follow, goes down a half step on that third string. So you can see the movement is really simple, right? Only one note changes, but it has a really nice, pleasant sound to the ear. It's known as voice leading. So I'm always a sucker for songs that have that written into it. But let me go ahead and play just the first couple bars, which is out of that first chord right here. And we'll break it down after it. So this will give you context of what it sounds like. Okay, so there's the first couple bars. So it's going to start with a minor major 7 chord, which is really interesting because it has a minor third and a major 7, so it has a bit of a conflicting sound, which is really cool. To make this chord, you're just going to put the middle finger on the 3rd fret of string 3, ring underneath it, and then index on the 2nd fret of string 1, and our G is open. So pretty easy chord shape to make. Rhythmically wise, we've got 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. So pretty simple rhythmically wise. So go ahead and strum that chord. Then you're gonna tap plus play string 3, then string 2. That's gonna get tied into beat 3. Lift the index up, play the open A. Then we're going to chuck, and we're going to pluck, still with the index up. So we have strum, tap 2, O, slap, pluck. Rhythm, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. Okay, not too hard of a bar. Let's give it a shot. 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. So now same thing we saw before. This end of 4 is going to get tied into the next bar. So your first hit of the next bar, bar 2 of the chorus, is going to be on the end of 1. And you're going to hit string 2 by itself. Then on beat 2, you're going to play the 3rd string plus tap. Okay, after that, you play the open A, which again gets tied into beat 3, so you're going to hold it longer. Then on the end of 3, play string 2. Then on beat 4, tap plus string 3, and then again string 2, and that'll finish it up. So rhythmically wise, if we start on the end of 1, 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and. Now if I call those hits out, starting on the end of 1, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, tap, O, 2, tap, 2. Okay, so I'm going 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2. Okay, not too hard of a bar. Let's see if we can start on the end of 1, 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and. Awesome. Now if we backtrack, let's see if we can try the first couple bars together. Here we go. 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and. Very good. So at this point, we're going to go back with the index finger for the 3rd bar, and we're going to go back into the minor major 7, so you're just going to add it down. So let me play these next 2 bars, bars 3 and 4, and this will give us a good context, then we'll break it down. Alright, so let's start with the 3rd bar. So we're back to the minor major, so go ahead and strum that chord. Now we're going to slap on beat 2, and here's what's a little tricky. You're going to use your pinky to put it on the 3rd fret of string 1. So after your slap, you're going to come and pluck that. So you have O, 3, 3, 3. Okay? So you're going to pluck that. So start with the minor major. So we have strum, slap, pluck with the pinky on the 3rd fret. Okay, that's going to get tied into the third beat. After that, you're going to play the open A on the end of 3. Again, you're going to come down with a chuck, and then you're going to pluck. Okay? So together we have 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. So the melody movement is happening on that first string. So you have 2, slap 3, O, slap O. Okay, so watch the first string. 2, slap 3, O, slap O. Alright, so let's give that one a shot. 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. Now same thing, we're going to tie the end of 4 into beat 1 for the next bar. So our first hit's on the end of 1. So you're going to play string 2, and then the third string plus a tap, and then the open A tied into beat 3. And here I like to do kind of a little rhythmic strum. So if you're coming up, you can hit the first and second string, or the first, second, third string. You come up with the nail of the thumb. That's going to be on the end of 3. Then you can come down with a slap, but in a downward attack, not straight down, but kind of going that way. And then come up again with the nail of the thumb for a strum. Okay? So it sounds a little bit like that. So in doing this, we're just kind of switching things up a little bit, you know, because everything so far has been pretty straightforward with finger picking, tapping, and the chucking. So this gives us a little chord strum vibe just to differentiate it a bit. But let's see if we can break down this fourth bar again and go over it. So remember, we have 3, 3 with the open A. So on the end of 1, string 2, then tap plus 3, and then the open A, and then here you're going up, chuck, up. Okay, so and 2, and 3, and 4, and. All right, let's give it a shot. 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and. Okay, and if we backtrack, let's try bar 3 and 4. 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and. Nice. And if we backtrack, let's try 1 through 4. So the first 4 bars of our chorus. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and. Nice. So let's go ahead and take a look at the next 4 bars. So 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, so this is the second third of the pre-chorus. So the pre-chorus is 12 bars, and then the chorus is 4 bars. So here is 5, 6, 7, and 8 for the pre-chorus. And it's going to sound like this. Alright, so the first thing we notice, it's all out of G, so the basic G, so pretty simple. Let's look at the first bar. So make the basic G chord, and what we're going to do is we're going to go 4 to 2 for our strum. Then on beat 2, we're going to tap plus play string 3, and then play the second string, hold it into beat 3, and then play the first string. Follow it by a slap on beat 4, and then remember the first chord of the tune, G sus2. So lift that middle finger up, and it introduces the open A, so it gives us the suspended chord. Okay, so we have 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. Okay, so not too hard. Again, strum, tap, 2, 1, slap, pluck. All right, let's give it a shot. 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. So same thing here. We're going to tie into the first beat of the next bar. So our first hit for bar 6 is going to be on the end of 1. That's going to be the second string. So keep this middle finger lifted up this whole time. So we're going to hit string 2 by itself, follow it with a tap plus string 3, and then the open A, again, ties into beat 3. And then you're basically going to repeat. You're going to play string 2, tap plus string 3, and string 2. Okay? So the second bar we have and 2, and 3, and 4, and. If I call out hits, 2, tap 1, 2, tap 2. Okay, that was calling out strings the second time. So let's see if we can try that one. Not too hard. So we have, starting on the end one, 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and. Nice. And if we backtrack those two bars together, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and. Okay, now for the next bar, you're going to go back to the regular G, and here we can accent the strum if we want. You can hit it harder if you want, hit it with a nail, get a brighter, bit of a harsher kind of sound. You do something like a raschiato, 4-finger barrel roll. Anything that you want to kind of accent it. But we're going to hit that G a little bit harder on beat 1, come down with a slap on beat 2, and then remember how we add the pinky before? We're going to do the same thing for this one. We're going to add the pinky to the 3rd fret of string 1. You're going to pluck that, hold it into beat 3, and then lift the pinky up, play string 1 by itself, and then slap on beat 4. So that bar sounds like. Okay, slow. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Okay, so we have strum, slap, pluck, 1 slap. All right, let's give it a shot. 3, 4, strum, slap, pluck, 1 slap. Rhythm, 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Awesome. Now the next bar, which is going to finish up this phrase, this is the 8th bar, it's going to be all quarter note hits. So pretty simple rhythmically wise. So start with the G sus and then finish with the G. So first half G sus, second half G. So we have strum, tap plus play string 3, go back to the regular G, pluck 1 and 2, and then tap plus string 3. So you have, real simple, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, we can accent that first hit. Okay, let's give it a shot. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so if we backtrack, let's try bars 7 and 8. Here we go. 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now let's try 1 through 4. Let's see if we can go a little bit faster. Again, you can use that YouTube player to slow down. 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice. Now we're in the home run stretch, so 9, 10, 11, and 12 for the pre-chorus. So our movement, voice leading again, so we're going down a half step on that 3rd string. So from the 2nd fret, you're just going to go to the 1st fret. So for this one, we have a G with a flat 5. Okay, so again, we're going to do very similar picking as before. So we're going 4 to 2, and then we're going to pluck plus play string, tap, tap plus play string 3, and then string 2 after. So you have 1, 2, and that's going to get tied into B3. Then you're going to play string 1, slap, lift the middle finger up, pluck. So you're introducing the open A. So again, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. Okay, let's try together. 3, 4, strum, tap, 2, 1, slap, pluck. Counting rhythm again. 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. Okay, so again, we're tying and holding into beat 1. So on the end of 1, you're going to pluck string 2, then tap plus string 3, and then the open A ties into beat 3, string 2, and tap in 3. So you have 2, 3, 0, 2, 3. Rhythm-wise, starting on the end of 1, 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. Alright, so let's try that bar by itself. Starting on the end of 1, 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. Alright, let's backtrack, starting on that 9th bar. 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. Awesome. Now, the last couple bars, we're going to go back into the G with the flat 5, so you're going to add that middle finger back down. And here's what the 11th bar sounds like. So I'm putting a little rasgato strum. By the way, if you're new to that strum, I've got a lesson called La Gitanita, spelled Gitanita. It's a flamenco tune that covers the mechanics behind that 4-finger strum roll. So if you want to learn how I do it, check out that lesson in the description box below. But for this, heavy accent on the first one. And I'm going to come up with the nail of my thumb on the end of 1 and just hit string 2 by itself. Okay, after that I'm going to slap on beat 2 and then pluck. So together that looks like. Okay, counting it out. 1 and 2, end. So that end of 2 is tied into 3. Then you lift the middle up, play the open A. Again, slap on beat 4, and then pluck. Okay, so we have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, end. All right, let's give it a shot. 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, end. So this is going to get tied into beat 1. So on the end of 1, you're going to play string 2, then tap plus string 3, open A, holds into beat 3, then string 2, and finish it up with a tap. But while you tap this beat 4, you're going to be moving up because the chorus is going to be all the way up here. All right, so that's going to buy you a little bit of time to move all the way up the neck, okay? So let's cover this last bar, bar 12 again. Starting at the end of 1, play string 2, tap plus 3, open A, holds into beat 3, string 2, tap. Rhythmic wise, starting at the end of 1, 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. Okay, let's try together. 3, 4, 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. So you probably want to practice just moving up and going, or getting ready to go into the chorus. But let's backtrack. Let's try the last 2 bars, 11 and 12. 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. Okay, and the last 4 bars, so 9, 10, 11, 12. Here we go. 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. Okay, so definitely a section that you want to put quite a bit of work into. And it's a section that once you get the mechanics behind it, you really want to work on boosting the tempo. That way it starts to sound a little bit more like the actual tune. You start to hear the melody that's intertwined with the rhythm that, or the harmony that we're playing. But let's see if we can try that pre-chorus all the way through. So we've got 12 bars for the pre-chorus. And again, I'm just going to go ahead and count it off and not count through it. That way we can clearly hear it. We can hear it better. So 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so that gives us an idea of how it sounds at a little bit of a quicker tempo. Now, the last part that we're going to cover in this lesson is going to be the chorus, and it's only 4 bars in length, but it's such a quick jump, so you really want to practice that transition of the last bar 12 in the pre-chorus going to the first bar of the chorus, because it goes all the way up here. So it's really, it's the most difficult transition in the tune. But let me play the 4 bars in the chorus, and this is what we get. Pretty cool, right? Really pretty melody. Really nice walk down. So for our first chord, we're starting with a D sus4 add 13. What a lovely name. So this one's a bit tricky. Ring goes on 12 on string 3. Index is going to be barred on the 10th fret, strings 1 and 2. And pinky is going to be on 14 on string 1. We play the G open. Gives a nice sustained sound to it. So for this, we're going to go strum, then we're going to tap plus play string 3, and then string 2, and then move your pinky down to the 12th fret of string 1. And you're going to follow it by a slap. So here's our rhythm. 1, 2, and 4. Okay, so a very similar or familiar rhythm, right? So we see a lot of that rhythm throughout this tune. So 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Okay, so go ahead and strum that chord, play string 3 plus tap, then string 2, move the pinky to 12 on string 1, and slap. So slowly, let's try it with that rhythm. 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, and 4. So one more time. 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Nice. Now from here, what you can do is lift the ring up, put the middle finger down on 11 on string 3. Gives us a G add 9. Same rhythm and same flux or same attack with the right hand where you're going strum, tap, 2, 1, slap. Okay? So this one, strum, 11, 10, 12. So no movement with the pinky. Then you're going to slap and finish it. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. So a little bit easier. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Okay, let's give it a shot. 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Nice. So backtrack, first bar of chorus. 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, and 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Okay? Now from here, what you're going to do is you're going to move second and first finger down to 9, 8. Keep the pinky where it's at. So we have an F over G. Okay, so for this one, we have 1, 2, and 3, and 4. All right, so for this third bar, we're going to go strum, tap plus string 3, string 2, and then this time we do have to move back down a whole step, just like in the first bar, but instead of using the pinky, we can use the ring finger. We can put that on the 10th fret of string 1. Okay, and then follow that with a slap. So same hits that we've seen before. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Okay, but this one is a little bit easier because we can use that ring finger. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. All right, so let's give it a shot. 3, 4, strum, tap, 2, 1, slap. Okay, now going into our last bar is going to be a C chord. So it's that G chord moved up the neck. So if you're new to moving chords up the neck and they become other chords, then I'm going to put a lesson for the caged method below. Really great lesson because you can add harmony. Like if say you're in a jam situation, right? And everyone's playing a G chord here, you can learn how to play a G chord up here. So you can be different. You don't have to copy everyone. So I'll put a lesson to the link on caged method, which explains all of that, but really useful stuff to learn. All right, so going back to this, so we've got a C chord voiced up higher, but it's the G chord shape. The only difference is we're going to bar it. So bar on 7, and then use the middle finger for 8, and our G string is open. So for this one, we can accent the first one. We can do rasgato. And then we're going to slap it, and we're going to pluck, and then add your pinky to 10 on string 1, and you can slide down after. Now the rhythm of this is really important, that we get the rhythm hits right. We have 1, 2, and 3, 4. So that 10 is on beat 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. So when you pluck the C, you're holding it from the end of 2 for a quarter in addition to that. So a dotted quarter, so beat and a half. Okay, so 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Okay? So no slap, no tap, nothing on beat 4. So we're cutting out that for this bar. All right? So let's try it together. 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. Okay? If we backtrack, let's try from F over G. 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. Nice. And let's try all 4 bars for the chorus. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. Cool. So that gives us the entire chorus all the way through, so all 4 bars. And when you speed it up a little bit, you can really start to hear that melody that he sings, and it's really beautifully done. I love how he wrote it with the cool little walk down for the harmony. Just a really pretty part of the song. But anyways, guys, that completes everything for this lesson. So in our part 2 lesson, we're going to be picking up where we left off. So we're going to be learning the second half of the tune. There's a lot of really cool stuff coming up. So if you guys want to watch the rest of the lesson, you can click this link right here or go to the site rockclass101.com, do a search for Stop This Train. And don't forget that the tabs are found on that page that you can print off and follow along with as a PDF format and keep for your records, as well as access that on-screen tab viewer, which was that really cool interactive tab player where you can highlight bars, loop sections, slow it down. Really super useful for tackling a tough tune like this and getting it down that much quicker. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and I'll see you in the part 2 one. Take care.